Hi, this is Stanley at Market Block Books, and you're actually looking at Walt McLaughlin, who wrote The Allure of the Deep Woods, and he's here to talk to you about it right now.
Yes, this is my book, The Allure of the Deep Woods. It's based on a trip that I took hiking in the Northvill-Placid Trail back a few years ago. I like to backpack alone through the big deep woods areas that I can find in the Northeast, and this is one of the choice ones. I'd been back to this area before by going into what's called the West Canada Lakes Wilderness, which is one of the largest wilderness areas around, and I decided what I'd do is I'd just come in and hike this whole trail from end to end, and it was gave me an opportunity to kind of reflect on the importance of wilderness and the importance of just wildness to being human, which is what I oftentimes write about in my other books, my essays, and other narratives. And it was a real joy to spend so much time in the Adirondacks because they're as close as I can get to big wilderness and without getting too far away from home. I went and made a trip out to Alaska back in the 90s when I was younger and had a bona fide wilderness experience. Wrote a book about that. But that's 4,000 miles away, and to get something that's even close to that is difficult to do. But the Adirondacks come close, close enough for me, 2 hours away from my house, and in Vermont, and I really enjoyed taking that trip, and I really enjoyed writing about it. I sometimes wonder whether I write books as an excuse to take big trips, or whether I take big trips as an excuse to write books. I haven't quite figured out which one of those is the motivator. Probably just kind of a win-win situation. But I now travel. This book and this particular trip I traveled with by myself. But now, from now on, in the past 4 or 5 years, I've been traveling with my dog, Matika, who's a long-haired German Shepherd, and she's gone with me here recently in a trip into the Maine woods on what's called the 100-mile wilderness, and I'll probably publish a book about that at some point too. But she came with me last year into the West Canada Lakes Wilderness. I got hungry for the deep woods again, so Matika went with me back to West Canada Lake to see and feel the wild again, to hear the loons at night, which make her ears prick right up, along with the owls, and just to get back in there where it's easy to think clear about deep philosophical concepts that sometimes seem silly to me in my daily business, but when I'm underneath a canopy of stars on a clear night, this seems to be the thing to do.
Excellent. Let's see that cover.
Yeah, this is the cover again. This is one of the right here. This is a shot that I took at Cold River. This is the shelter that overlooks the Cold River right here, and the publisher wanted to put it on the front because it kind of captures the mood of the Northvill-Placid Trail, and it does. On this particular trip, I stayed in shelters 9 out of the 14 nights I was in there, which was unusual for me because I usually like to just camp out. But in September, when I hiked this trail, there weren't a lot of people on it, and it's not a real popular trail anyway because of all of the emphasis being put on the high peaks region and bagging the big peaks. But in September, there was even less people than normal, so I was able to stay in most of these shelters by myself, which was kind of a treat. I had one encounter that I met a fellow called Limsalot, and that he and I shared a trail, and I didn't want to encroach on his solitude, but he insisted, and we shared a cup of coffee and started talking, and next thing you know, we started waxing philosophical together. So that was actually a really nice little break from the solitude, was hanging out with Limsalot, and that was rare though. Most of this time I was out there by myself, and I think that more people should explore this trail, and that's one of the reasons why I feel comfortable writing about it and promoting this area, is because the cattle paths that go up into the Adirondacks take something away from the wilderness experience. And in a recent article that I published, I just showed a picture of what the trail looks like when you're back in the deep woods. It's a whole different ball of wax than from those cattle paths that you're used to hiking. And when I went up recently went up a mountain, I counted the number of people that I encountered between the top and the bottom. I passed 50 people between the summit and being on the trail. And when I was on this hike for 2 weeks, I encountered 25. And that kind of tells the difference between different kinds of wilderness experiences you can have. And I don't think it's necessary to just encounter 25. I think I could have counted 125 and still had a good trip. But I think that there is something to be said for the clarity of mind that comes from just spending some time in deep woods, either alone or with a loved one or a close friend. It's very clarifying. That's all I can say. And as a philosopher, I just completely draw from it on a regular basis.
Well, thanks for coming to Market Block Books, and
Thank you for having me,
the book is
Stanley.
available here in downtown Troy.